So if I were to sum up or come up with a phrase for the readings for the second Sunday of Lent, I would say it's the promise of faith. The story that we hear the second Sunday of Lent is the story of the Transfiguration. We hear it every Lent. And it's the story of Jesus going up the mountain with his three disciples, James, John, and Peter. So let me tell you what's transpired before this. Jesus has been having a conversation, and two really intense conversations. One where Peter confesses that he believes Jesus is the Messiah. Jesus has asked him, "Who do you think I am?" And then the second conversation that ensues is that Jesus predicts his passion and his death. And then they talk about the cost of discipleship. So it's no wonder that Jesus then is seeking the only solace that he can find, and that is to be in the presence of his Father and pray. So he goes up the mountain and he takes his most cherished and trusted disciples with him. What happens then as he's praying intensely is, of course, they fall asleep. But they come fully awake when he transforms, when he is transformed. And Luke describes it this way: his face changed in his appearance and his clothes became dazzling white. And so their wakefulness is a metaphor for the wakefulness that we all have, that sense of being something different when we're in the presence of the divine. When we're in the presence of the divine, we become all that we are. And so as the disciples become awake, they realize Jesus is in conversation. And he's talking to Elijah and he's talking to Moses. What do Moses and Elijah stand for? First of all, they're two Old Testament characters who sought solace in God's presence when they were in times of crisis. Moses stands for the law, Elijah stands for the prophets. And those are the two mainstays of the Jewish faith. Those are the two things that would have sustained Jesus when he was in times of trouble. And so as Peter, James, and John are witnessing this, they're so excited. And Peter wants to build 3 tents. Let's stay here. Because don't you just want to, when you find the divine, when you get a glimpse of heaven, don't you just want to stay there? Don't you just want to be present in that reality? And yet, that's not where the story ends. Jesus still has to come down the mountain. He has to go through his passion and death so that we can get to the resurrection. And we too have to continue in the solemnity of our Lenten journey so that we can get to that ultimate joy that is Easter. And the gospel passage wraps up with God coming in the form of a cloud. And the reason God comes in obscurity is because if we were to truly see God in all his magnificence and all his splendor, it would simply overwhelm our senses. And the same is true. So Peter, James, and John are terrified, but then God speaks from the cloud and says, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." And isn't that good advice for all of us? Listen to Jesus. Get to know him. Learn his ways. Emulate his relationship with others. And then we too will grow in the glory and the presence. And that gorgeous, beautiful glory and resurrection that is available to Jesus becomes ours. Amen?